Welcome to the Massachusetts Youth Soccer Association Final Score podcast, assisting the development of players, coaches, referees, and administrators one episode at a time. Now, here's your host, Marcus Cole.
Welcome to the podcast. We have another great episode on tap today. Excited to welcome back Tommy Geis, Technical Director for Massachusetts Youth Soccer Association. Tommy, welcome back to the podcast.
Excited to be back now that we're getting close to wrapping up a very busy and productive year. It's glad to be on one more podcast before we wrap up the year.
Very busy, as you said, and probably even busier in 2024. Let's jump right into it. We have a busy 2024 when it comes to coaching education. Can you kind of give us an overview of what's going to be going on?
Well, it's pretty exciting. U.S. Soccer has, this past year, turned over the B licenses to the state because of the backlog. We're hopefully going to alleviate some of the backlog the U.S. Soccer has had on the B license and people registering for it and not being able to get in. So we have our very first B license coming up in 2024, which filled up in less than 3 days. And it's even on a waiting list. So that is really exciting. We also, as usual, which we do each year, we run 2 C licenses. And we also run a minimum of 2 D licenses a year. And I say a minimum because when the demand comes up that we potentially need a third, then we are very much open to entertain the possibility of running more than that. Not so much with the B and the C, but the D for sure. And then an incredible number, as always, of the grassroots courses, including our Coach Education Week, which will be in, I believe it's in March.
So very, very busy. And that's not even counting all the grassroots courses that are going to be going on around the state in 2024. Let's talk about coaching education. I think that there's a lot of misconceptions maybe when it comes to coaching education, that this is only for high level coaches that want to go on and coach professionally or coach at the collegiate level or things along that lines. But coaching education is very, very important, not only for the coaches and their development, but especially for their players and how they teach them the game. Can you explain why this is important?
Well, if you start from the coach themselves, and regardless of the number of years, when I look back and see how many years I've been involved in just the coaching side of it, I almost shake my head and wonder where the time went. But it's pretty cool when you step into, every time I step into a group of peers, whether I'm a coach educator, whether I'm a student coach, I walk away from it, scratch my head and realizing that there's something I can do different. There's something I can do better. And I would like to consider myself knowledgeable in the game. But I also realize that I'm going to have a discussion with somebody, and it might even be that person who has no experience whatsoever, but they're going to share an experience with me. And I'm going to put that into my book of experience and kind of put that in my back pocket, because that's going to help me reference something else in the game from a different vantage point, if you will.
It's funny. I remember starting off coaching soccer. I played when I was younger, played through high school, and then started coaching at the middle school and high school level, and started at club and ended up going through the coaching process. Of course, this was way back when, there was an F license and that type of thing. But I ended up eventually taking the D, and it really opened my eyes into how to structure things and how to bring the game to the kids that you're coaching. And it made such a difference in my perspective as a coach, and made our training sessions better. It made them more fun for the kids. Talk to us. And of course, the reason why we do it is it's all for the kids. Talk to us a little bit about why this coaching education benefits the kids, the players of this game.
Well, it's interesting you brought up the D license and your experience in the D license, because I was probably the worst student coach in history when I took my D license. My arms folded. I had a very fixed mindset. I looked at the coach instructors and said, my teams are better than your teams. I'm a better soccer player than you are. what can you possibly have to teach me? For about the first half a day. And then one of my coach educators, who's a peer of mine to this day, just started talking about the games and what we get out of the games. Not just, I do this game all the time. It actually, he struck a chord deeper than that. And it wasn't just doing the games that I've always done because that's what I've always done. But when you're doing this game, what are you looking for? What are you trying to achieve? Not just surviving the activity. So how it benefits the children is when we put them into an environment through coaching education, we hopefully help them make a better connection back to the game of soccer. What we're doing in training connects to the game, regardless of what the game is, whether people agree with the game that you're happen to be using during the training or not, or they agree with your philosophy or your methodology or not. It still comes down to, can you help the players make that connection? And if the players are making a connection, now they have, sometimes you see those aha moments, but it's also, now it reflects on the game. And I'm not sure of too many kids that I've ever met that ever show up at a practice and are not looking to play, not looking to play a game, not so much do a drill for a drill's sake, because the mentality of you'll thank me in 10 years. Children don't care about that. They're out on the field with their friends. They want to enjoy it. And the more knowledge you gain as a coach, the more tools you have in your toolkit, the easier it is to adapt and adjust to make it more enjoyable for the players on the field.
I've never had a training session go by where one of the first things out of a kid's mouth is, Coach, we going to scrimmage? We going to play? I mean, that's what they're there to do. And we can incorporate all that coaching education into that to create that experience and create that development for those players. And I think a lot of coaches, I would love for them to realize that, you know, how we coached 20 years ago is not the same as how things are now. You know, the game has evolved, players have evolved, needs have evolved. And I think the coaching education is such an important part. You know, whether you're in a town league, whether you're, you know, a club coach, wherever you are, I think it's so important. We're talking to Tommy Geis, technical director for Massachusetts Youth Soccer Association. I know maybe some coaches may be timid in coming into these education courses just because they don't know what to expect. They may not have a lot of experience when it comes to the sport of soccer. Maybe it's something that they didn't grow up with, didn't understand, played other sports. What can coaches expect when they come through these courses, especially the grassroots level coaches?
Well, it's interesting because regardless of your level, whether or not you've been coaching for 20 years or coaching at a collegiate game or coaching at, it's your first year coaching at whatever level you're coaching, we all learn from each other and we learn through experiences. So it's never going to get into a situation where you have to do things. We tend to teach, if you will, in a way that is more discussion based through what have you experienced on the field, off the field, in the soccer environment, and how have you managed it? So sometimes throughout the course, we end up walking away with some best practices. We walk away with some ideas. It's like, well, how can I run a more efficient practice? It's going to take into consideration the needs of the children, which are that need to enjoy themselves, the need to develop, and you would suggest that they also have that need to have a sense of belonging to something bigger than just an individual activity. So how can we meet those needs? We also take into consideration, because some of the parents don't realize their knowledge base is quite high. As not being a parent, I can't tell you all the quirks that a child does have at home, but I can make the connection with the parents that said, your silly child who's climbing trees and jumping down the stairs and tons of energy or not, said, doesn't instantly change when they step out onto a soccer field. So we also need to learn how to manage those individuals, not the soccer player, but the child that's in front of us, because that soccer player is a child first and foremost. And a soccer is something that they do, not who they are. So coaching education hopefully gives us a better grasp of that. on realizing the expertise of these parents and start with your own child. How does your child behave and how do you manage that? And how can you utilize those same tools when you get out on a soccer field?
That's such a great point. And I think that's what my coaching education did for me, because at the grassroots level, I had such a wide variety of personalities and demeanors for the kids. And I know some parents would get frustrated when their child, especially at the younger ages, would either cry because they didn't want to go out there for whatever reason that the child had, having a bad day, not feeling connected to the surroundings, and that kind of thing. And we were able to, divert the child and be able to provide activities that the child felt comfortable with so that they were a part of the group. They were a part of the team. They may not have been necessarily doing exactly what the rest of the team was doing, but we gave them an opportunity to get more comfortable in the situation based upon the day. And then eventually, usually it ended up turning out great because the player would end up getting involved once it was all said and done. But they had to kind of, walk into the water at their own pace and at their own level and that type of thing. And I think that's one of the great things that it taught me, having that coaching education. Now, speaking of that coaching education, we have a tremendous workshop coming up, the 50th anniversary workshop in association with the New England Revolution at Gillette Stadium on Saturday, February 3rd. We are so excited. So many wonderful presentations. The New England Revolution will be there. Coaches from the Houston Dynamo, U.S. Soccer will be there. Boston University will be there. United Soccer Coaches will be there. We'll have a United Soccer Coaches Professional Development Certificate for high school coaches that will not only talk about the game and trainings and stuff, but even to fundraising and things outside of on the field activities, sleep, injury prevention, things along that lines that they can take and be a part of. They can get that certificate, that professional development certificate, serve their players better. And also one thing I'm excited about, because I love this topic. I love when teachers talk about this topic. Our own technical staff, Peter and Michael, will be there running a session about scanning. And it is such a valuable tool for soccer players to use, especially those that want to climb the ranks and move up wherever they want to go, whatever their goals are. Can you just give us a little bit of insight on this session that's going to be happening at the workshop?
Well, Peter and Michael are our two newest members of our technical team, and it is really cool to collaborate with them and kind of pick on their knowledge and their experiences as well. And they are going to be running a session based on this concept of scanning. And what does it mean? What does it mean through the ages and stages? So scanning for a younger player may not be exactly the same as scanning for an older player, and how they can utilize it. What does that mean and how it hopefully can enhance the game? But as we spoke with coaching education, hopefully it's going to be much more interactive than a lecture, because the plan is to connect it to the experiences of the people in the room and see how we could take it to a different level for each individual, and how it could be more personalized than just here's an information dump. Now, good luck going to use it. So that's our plan, is to have it very interactive and getting a more clear idea on what it is when we talk about scanning and what it actually means to the players and how it could actually help them with their game. Going back to even making it potentially more enjoyable, because now players may not be able to sneak up on you quite as much.
It's going to be a great session, and we certainly recommend all coaches to come to the workshop. Early bird pricing is going on right now through December 1st. $100 a ticket. If you want to take the United Soccer Coaches Professional Development Certificate, that's an extra $50 on top of that, but I promise it will be completely worth it for you to be a part of those sessions. We have a pathway of things that you'll have to do to earn that certificate, but you can go to our website, www.mayouthsoccer.org/2024 workshop. You can find all the details about the presenters, the coaches, the sessions, everything, and order your tickets as well. So we encourage you to do that. And also you can go to that same website, mayouthsoccer.org, and click on coaches and then click upcoming courses. And you can find out about all the courses that are going to be happening in 2024 and even some in 2023 that are still remaining. But everything in 2024, you can find out what it's all about, where it's going to take place, what are the dates, and how to register. Please go find out more about coaching education and help your players, help yourself, help your players have more fun and connect to this wonderful game that we play. Tommy Geis, Technical Director, Mass Youth Soccer. Thank you so much for coming back onto the podcast. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Massachusetts Youth Soccer Association Final Score podcast. Remember to give our podcast a 5-star rating. This will help get the word out to others and let them know about our program. Copyright 2023. All rights reserved.